Start this meeting. All right. I will call to order the Federal Way City Council special meeting for September 1st, 2015. Would you all please rise? And Ms. Euland, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Well, Laura, thank you very much for helping us out. We've got Laura Euland here from Valleycom, and she's going to give us a presentation. We do have Councilmember Honda. It will be out for this meeting and next, the one this evening. She is a little under the weather, and so we'll excuse her officially from this meeting. So, Laura, welcome.
Thank you very much. And this mic is so hot, it reminds me of my days back on the radio. So, Brian, you're going to have to handle a call or two. I'm going to dispatch you. So, good evening. Thank you for letting me come in and talk with you. Earlier this year, the mayors of the admin board asked that I would spend some time at each city council meeting just giving the basics 101 on Valleycom. So that's what I'm going to do, and I would welcome any questions that you have. Either interrupt me or hold it to the end, your choice. I'm happy to do either. So I'm going to talk to you about who we are, what we do, and where we're going. It's only about a 10-minute or so presentation, so it should be pretty quick. I want to let you know who we are, and the owner cities of Valleycom are the 5 South King County cities, of which Federal Way joined us in the year 2000. But Federal Way, Renton, Kent, Tukwila, and Auburn, we were formed in 1976 through an interlocal agreement when the mayors of those 4 original cities decided that it just made a lot more sense efficiency-wise and regional partnership-wise to join services for emergency communications. Pretty soon the neighboring cities and fire districts, they saw the wisdom of that and said, can we play along as well? And we included them as contract agencies. As I said, in 2000, the ILA was amended to allow the city of Federal Way to join as an owner city. Today, we serve 23 public safety agencies, police and fire. We also provide radio system access to many school, water, and sewer districts in South King County. So in addition to the police and fire agencies, I'll name just a few of them that you might not be aware of. Vashon Island Fire Department, we provide dispatching services to the cities of Black Diamond, Maple Valley, pretty much anybody from I-90 south to Pierce County, Vashon Island to the mountains, with the exception of the city of Enumclaw. We do not dispatch their police and fire, however, we do send King County Medic 1 out to their jurisdiction. And we do not dispatch for the Port of Seattle, the airport area itself, but everybody else we kind of are involved with. So this is our organization chart. You'll see the administration board is at the top, and the mayors of the 5 owner cities comprise the administration board. And that is the board that I report to. Currently, Mayor Dennis Law from Renton is the chairman. His term is up at the end of this year. For chair, it's a two-year position. Next to me is the operations board, and that is the owner city police chiefs and fire chiefs, and then a representative from a contract police and a contract fire agency. So there's 12 members of the ops board, and they are my partners. They help me with making decisions on day-to-day policies. We touch base often. We meet monthly, as does the admin board, which is Friday. You're going to be there, right, Mayor?
Right.
Yes.
I'll be there.
So we touch base often because they're the ones that I need to make sure that we're hearing them and serving them well. So our policies, they very much help craft that. The different awards and certifications that we have earned over the years, I'm very, very proud of. Valleycom is a nationally recognized agency. We are the largest 911 center, combined police, fire, medical center in the state. Our 2014 calls for service, which I believe is in there somewhere in this slide deck, is just about 800,000 calls a year. We average about 1,500 calls a day. And that, again, is we're one of the busiest in the state, if not the busiest for call volume. So I've been with Valleycom for over 30 years. I'm very proud of what we've achieved. We strive for excellence in everything we do. In 2001, Valleycom became the first 911 center on the West Coast and only the 7th communication center in the nation to earn the CALIA accreditation. I'm assuming you're familiar with CALIA, so I won't go into that. Since then, we've been reaccredited 4 times. Twice we've earned the flagship distinction. Our 911 industry professional organization is APCO. That's the Association of Public Safety Communication Officers. APCO has a Project 33 training certification, which is similar to CALIA in the fact that there are certain standards that you have to meet and prove. And APCO Project 33 is highly sought after in this nation, and Valleycom was the very first communication center in the country to earn the accreditation through Project 33. We are also a certified partner with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, NCMEC, and all of our comm center staff receives training to recognize the risk factors associated with calls involving children. And I have been waiting for 4 council presentations to tell this story. I've told all the others, but this one's going to really be, I'm happy to do so because it was a call involving a Federal Way child that we first recognized the value of this training. We answered a call from a child who was missing from a neighborhood park in Federal Way, and because of the training, the call receiver, which she had had that training that week, had a very heightened sense of awareness that this could be more serious than just a child who wandered off where she wasn't supposed to go. The police agency, well, it did turn out to be an abduction, and Federal Way Police told us later that they believe that the call taker's quick recognition of the potential and the action that they took contributed to the safe return of that child. So that, to me, that just made everything worthwhile as far as NCMEC, because there was quite a bit of training time involved in that. So Valleycom is a 911 public agency answering point, PSAP. And our core mission is to answer those 911 calls for our citizens and then dispatch the appropriate level of response. And you can imagine the training for that is very extensive, it's complex. Our new hires attend a 10-week in-house academy class taught by our own communication training officers. They have to learn the geography, the policies, the techniques, the telephone system, the computer-aided dispatch system, all the different tools, which is in some ways ubiquitous, in some ways unique. It all depends on what the system is. And it's very time-consuming for them to learn that. They're overwhelmed when they come in and a bit shell-shocked. If they successfully pass that academy portion of the training, the new hire is then assigned to an experienced comm room partner, which helps them transition to working by themselves in the comm room. But that can take up to 12 more weeks. And then the radio dispatchers are selected from that call receiver pool. So just when they're comfortable answering phones, we tap them to become dispatchers on the police and the fire radios. That can take another 4 weeks in classroom training, and then another 4 weeks on the floor, 4 months on the floor to learn the expertise to be a dispatcher, police and fire dispatcher. So it can take anywhere from 18 months to 2 years to take someone from the street and get them into be a fully capable Valleycom employee. And that's the comm room environment in which they work. Everything is computer-based, and it looks a little bit, if you haven't been there, and I do invite you to come up and take a look anytime you'd like to, it looks like a little bit a cross between Star Wars and Starbucks in that room because of the colors and the technology, and in some ways it is organized chaos, and it is a beautiful thing to watch a busy shift with those professionals. The service area that I talked about earlier, Vashon Island came on, I believe, around, I want to say 96, but I could be wrong on that. And that kind of finished our South King County, if you will, footprint. I'm not so sure about Enumclaw in the future. There's potential for them to come on board if they so wish, and that's a conversation that the board has been having, but pretty big area. We're a very big player in King County. So our annual calls, as I mentioned, the average call for 2014 was about 1,500 calls a day, but it is very cyclic. Over the years, there's really not a lot of rhyme or reason as to why calls fluctuate like that. In 2009, they started to drop 10 and 11, and that was not just at Valleycom. That was all over the PSAPs. There's 12 PSAPs in King County, and all of them experienced that decrease in calls. But they are back up on the rise again. And given the amount of time it takes to get somebody in and trained and be prepared, you might say, well, why didn't we decrease staff if the calls were going down? Because it fluctuates so rapidly and the time it takes to train, we can't maintain a state of readiness if we don't maintain our staffing. So where we're going in the future, I'm not exactly sure, but I know it'll be technology driven. Next Generation 911 is or NG 911 is the phrase that we've adopted to talk about texting and videos and pictures. The current infrastructure, which is not Valleycom owned, it is nationwide owned, does not support texting very easily. The 911 phone system is built on 1960s analog technology. So we've kind of MacGyverized it over the years to accept cellular calls, but we can't keep putting Band-Aids on it and trying to make it fix for texting. So the carriers, the infrastructure has to be updated. Texting to 911 in King County is probably about 12 months away. We recognize it's a big need. We're all working as regional partners along with the King County E911 office, which has the authority, spending authority for the excise tax money. And we're trying to make sure that we deploy network safe, secure technology that meets also expectations. So the changing needs of the agencies also drives what Valleycom is going to look like in the future, as well as the population growth. So we will continue to grow and adapt the needs to meet our owner and contract agencies, and we will continue to be thoughtful and very careful about the technologies that we deploy. And it has been a true honor to be the director for the last 4 years. I am excited about what is in our future and look forward to working with our boards and our agencies as we continue down that path. So I would welcome any questions that you might have.
Council, are there any questions? Councilmember Maloney.
Thank you. That's just really impressive to see the volume of calls you get annually on average, and just all the work that's put into it and the training and so on and so forth. I have a quick question about something I saw on Facebook. There's a product called Cuff that's coming out of, I guess, out of Europe somewhere that claims to call 911 and video something that may be going on. So right now you can't accept that type of stuff. It sounds like, and this is music, not music. It's jewelry that is someone can wear, and if there's an incident, they just press a button, it calls 911, and then it records. So is that something you've ever heard of? Do you foresee that actually being usable here in the United States at some point?
I've not heard of that particular product. Right now, Washington state law does not allow for automatic robo-type calls or technology calls. It has to be a human voice call. Okay. I hope that doesn't change. But no, I'm not familiar with that. Something like that will probably become more available, although there are things like the Lifeline Help Me, I've fallen and can't get up type of technology, and that's perfectly legal because it goes to a call center who then tries to verify if there's a problem, and then they will call us. Okay. Same as OnStar and other services.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. But it's interesting. We'll be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, it is interesting.
Council, any other questions? Or Councilmember Dawson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much for that presentation. So with staff going through all that training, up to 12 months, what's the retention rate?
Good question. We enjoy a very high retention rate. The last time a national average was developed by APCO, it's been several years, but at that time we exceeded it. Right now we are at 93% retention rate. And I believe the national average was in the 80s somewhere. But we have a very tenured staff. As a matter of fact, on Friday at the board meeting, I'll be acknowledging a 35-year retiree that just retired. And we have another 35-year employee. But we managed to keep our employees because our pay is competitive, our benefits are good. And once you're in that business, you cannot walk away. It is too exciting to be there. So we have a very high retention rate.
Councilmember Duclos and then Deputy Mayor Burbridge.
I don't have a question. I just want to thank you very much for coming here tonight and going through this with us. We've all heard about Valleycom, but you've actually give us a picture and a face of what we've heard about. And I'd like you to go back and tell your staff that we're really grateful for the work that they do, and that we really, really do appreciate them,
Thank
even
you.
if they don't hear from us in person.
Great, thank you. Deputy Mayor Burbidge.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was very helpful, very thorough, but concise. And I want to express my appreciation also for your good work, your staff's good work. I've had occasion to call 911 mainly for cars blocking traffic, stalled cars, that kind of thing. And the response is always so cordial and so quick. And I know that also, though, a next-door neighbor a few years ago had occasion to call 911. He had actually fallen and couldn't get up. Literally, he was 99, however, still living by himself in his own house. And so it was quite impressive. And he managed to call his daughter, who lives in Seattle. And I'm not sure if he called 911 or if she did. But she then called me. I've known the family for some time. And I just raced right over there. And when I arrived, the fire department folks were already there and had helped him up. And we're dealing with things. So it is a very impressive system that works very well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll share your comments.
All right, council, any other thoughts or comments? Well, thank you, Laura. Really appreciate it. We'll see you Friday.
Yep, good.
All right.
And I don't know how to get out of this, so where's the escape button? There we go. Thank you.
All right, thank you. There's an escape button? Nobody told me that. Exactly. Exactly. All right, and now we're part of the presentation where we have Ade Arevalo, our finance director, talk about the SCORE facility and update ADP report. Ade.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This is just to brief the Council on the status of the ADP with SCORE, just to bring you up to speed. Just a little bit of history. The SCORE was established in 2009, and that was when the bond to construct the facility was put together for about $86 million. The bond was for 30 years, so that means the participating members will pay that $86 million over a 30-year period. As of the time, City of Federal Way is about 18% owner of the facility. And so that means we also own part of that debt to service the bond. As of now, out of that 86 million, SCORE has about 82 million outstanding. Out of this 82 million, 14.47 is the responsibility of the city. As part of the 2015 budgeted services, our expected cost will be about $4.2 million. That boils down to about $112 per day for prisoner. Now, to see how that is comparable to other costs, if we compare that 112 to what we would have paid if we send our prisoners to King County, we would have paid $147 for the daily rate, and we will have paid $217 for booking. So each time we take a prisoner there, for them to process that prisoner, we'll pay $217 in addition to daily rate of $147. Also, if that that prisoner requires any kind of medical needs, we will be paying about $225. If the help is psychological, we'll be paying about $259. And other psychiatric help in the normal facility, that's about $71 and $64 if they need to escort that prisoner to a different facility. That is for King County. This is for Pierce County. A similar $92 for the daily rate, $225 for booking, $90 to escort that prisoner to a different facility, and $168 for special identification, that is, trying to verify the identity of the prisoner. So if you compare what we're getting with SCORE and what is out there, I start thinking the SCORE is a bargain. These are the makeup of the member or the owner of the facility. You have the city of Renton with 36%, SeaTac 3%, Tequila 8%, Auburn 31%, City of Federal Way 18%, and Burien 4%. This is what our debt service is based on. What we pay for operation depends on our ADP. So this is just the ownership of the facility. In addition to the cities that own, the one that I just showed you, that own the facility, these are the other cities that SCORE contract with. You have Redmond, Covington, Kenmore, Shoreline, Kirkland, Marysville, Bellevue, Linwood, Tacoma, at least as of the end of July. And they're also talking to other entities in coming on board. So some of the savings that we've, at least that we realized in 2015, is partly because of what we're getting or what SCORE is getting from these contracting cities. Other entities, in addition to those, are Normandy Park, Black Diamond, Enumclaw, Argona, Kent, Rustin, Duval, and Medina, Port of Seattle, and these are, but at a smaller ADP, but they are also part of the entities that SCORE has agreements with. What are the factors affecting the cost of the operation? We know the debt cost, the $82 million that I pointed out, that is given. We know what we sign up for. That will always be the same every year. But the operating cost, those are the amounts that vary year to year. What affects that is the operation cost, the efficiency, and the average daily population. The operation cost will be affected, of course, the labor, the employees that they hire, how many they are, the operation of the building, the maintenance, and all of that. Then, of course, the efficiency, how well they're managing, and, of course, the number of prisoners in the facility. This is to give you some 3-year comparison of some of the cities. Looking at Auburn, in 2013, the average ADP was 73. It dropped in 2014 to 66. In 2015, it's up to 81. So the same thing with Renton, was 79 in 2013, went up to 92 in 2014. Currently, it's at 81. So we're not the only entity feeling the pinch. If you compare what for pretty much all of these participating members, if you compare the blue bar, which is where they were in 2013, to where they are in 2015, pretty much actually almost other than Renton, pretty much all of the cities have actually grown or remained the same. So we're not the only one feeling the growth in the ADP. These are the actual costs in 2011. For the City of Federal Way, we have the operating cost of $1.06 million, and the startup cost of 421 with a total of 1.5. In 2011, that is just, pretty much half of the cost because the facility was open in the middle of the year. In 2012, our total cost went to 2.3. That was the whole year. And 2013, of course, because of the ADP, that went to 4.7. And 2014, that was 4.8. And of course, the debt, which is the blue, pretty much for 2013 and 2014, remain relatively the same. This is what our ADP looked like. Again, looking at 2011, 2012, and 2013, you can see the growth in there. In 2015, we budgeted for about 90 ADP, and we are looking at, close to 104, and that is part of what will be used to determine what our 2016 cost will be. Just to let you know, in addition to this, I think the mayor asked us to put together a committee, and we'll be meeting. That committee includes the court, the prosecuting attorney, the public defender, the mayor's office, and the finance. So we're meeting regularly to see what, whatever it is that we can do to manage our ADP and manage the cost. But, just to let you know that we're trying to keep an eye on the activity in the ADP and the cost of that facility. And I'll be glad to answer any question.
Councilmember Salzman.
Thanks, Mayor Farrell. Thanks, Professor, for the very concise, factual presentation here. Your figures, they tell the story in just a few pages, and so that was very nicely done. It just points out with what you presented that no doubt Federal Way made a brilliant investment into SCORE. I'm going to use that word brilliant. All of our folks, Deputy Mayor, I think Councilmember Duclos was here when this decision was made. And we're reaping the benefits from this even till now, and I know it's for many years we will. I have a question, though, that just came to mind. The slide that shows that the Federal Way made an 18%, we have an 18% stake into SCORE. Mm-hmm. But with our ADP now rising, and as you pointed out, other ADPs are rising, but I think proportionally ours is rising pretty substantially. And it looks like this year, operationally, we're going to occupy about 28% of the
facility
prisoners.
Correct.
Which is above 18%. So at some point, could our costs escalate because we're an 18% owner, we're consuming 28% of the facility, give or take, and who knows where that's going to go. But is there cost implications potentially with that trend that we're in?
No, and actually I think that is probably one of the, you mentioned about what a brilliant decision that was made. We purchased 18% ownership and we're using 20%. So other than increasing the operation cost, we would not increase our debt cost. Mm-hmm. So what we sign up for, the 18%, is what we will be paying for the rest of the bond. So, I hate to say it loudly, but, we're using way more than we purchased. Mm-hmm. So, and I think because we sign onto that bond, legally, they cannot change the ratio of that
right.
bond.
And that's why I mentioned the word brilliant, because of that exact fact. And so, right, but operationally, we're going to pay our costs based on the ADP and the cost per bed and whatnot.
Correct.
Which is
last year, I think the SCORE decided to use the excess revenue from the contracting city to actually pay our 18%. And I think that is still also the plan to pay the 2016. So they are using the revenue from this contracting city to pay our ownership. So it will be 2 years in a row where we are only responsible for the operational cost, not necessarily the ownership cost.
Okay, very, very good. Thank you.
Councilmember Duclos and then Councilmember Safadas.
I just want to say, I know that this is something that the FEDERAC committee has looked at, and and I understand, and I think the court and the judges and you have met with them, and we're looking at it. But I'm just wondering if our ADP continues to rise, is there something else that we can do before we send them to SCORE? And I know there's no answer here right now. I'm sure that people have to get their heads together and start thinking about it, because if we continue to go up and other cities are doing something else, because we're pretty similar to Renton and Kent, and yet we seem to have a higher ADP than the others, and so I just wonder what's going on. I know the judges are doing their job, and I don't want them to stop doing their job, but I'm wondering if there's some other things that somebody's doing that we're not aware of and that we might be able to do. I don't know.
Essentially, that we could self-cap our ADP. And once we get to a certain level, move on. So, Ade, were you going to say something?
Yes, actually, that is part of what the committee that, the mayor asked us to set up, that is what we're looking at, to see how can we get ahead of these situations. But I think because the incarceration involves so many outfits, the police, the courts, the prosecuting, defending, the public defender. So I think all of these groups were meeting to figure out how to best address and to get ahead of this. Yes, we are looking at that.
Good, and I'm aware of that. I just wanted to get it on the record here. But also, are we asking other cities what they're doing?
So if you look, based on this data, some of the other cities are also going up too. I think there was a city that had 2 courts and they closed one.
Okay.
What that does is create a bottleneck. I don't think that really solved any major issue other than created a bottleneck where it takes longer for people to go through the system. And we're looking at what other entities are doing and what we can do collectively and individually among the participating member of the committee, which is the court, the police. So we're looking at all of that.
Mayor, just one other thing, a question for you. Because you meet with the other mayors, I assume. Are they experiencing a rise in crime in their cities? I mean, I think my feeling is, and this is just, it's not based on anything other than everybody's leaving Seattle. They can't afford to live there, and they're moving down here in this direction. And I'm wondering if because of we're getting more population down here, are we seeing more crime too? Just a question.
Perhaps I would ask our police chief to weigh in on this. I have not heard that from other mayors, and obviously there are index crimes, and there's all kinds of ways to count crimes, whether you're talking misdemeanor or felony, those kinds of things. Chief?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This year, we are actually experiencing some of the lowest crime rates we've had. Looking at the last 5 years, this year our crime rate through July, in July our crime rate was down 14% comparison to last year. And through July our overall crime is down 11%. Our residential burglaries are down 50% from last year. So there may be some direct correlation to our ADP to our crime numbers. We know these are habitual repeat offenders. So we believe there's so many variables with crime, you can't pinpoint it to one thing, but we believe ADP could play a role. And I would tell you ADP will fluctuate. So like this week, our ADP is 76. And coincidentally, a lot of the people that were serving long-term sentences at SCORE were being released in August. So right now our number Last week was 72, we're 76. Week before that, we're 77. So we are actually a little below Renton and Auburn in terms of total ADP this week. So and the calculation for ADP is from April 1 to March 31. So if we continue to experience some of the lower numbers this year, our jail cost, our maintenance cost for 2017 could potentially be reduced. But we are, I think public safety is foremost. When the mayor and I talk, public safety is number one, and obviously we want to be fiscally responsive as well. So hopefully that answers your question, but we are experiencing some the lowest crime rates we've experienced in the past 5 years.
And I think actually the corollary of that, and one of the other explanations, I spent 19 years in the field. One of the things I know I can't get through a meeting, right? But one of the things I would emphasize is that in the misdemeanor realm, this is a non-felony, as we all know, it's a non-felony facility. In order to get substantial jail time at the misdemeanor level, you have to have racked up a substantial criminal history. And really what we're really talking about two different things: pretrial detention and post-trial detention. And in pretrial detention, a lot of those, it's either they've got a violent history with a number of offenses, or they've got an astronomical number of a failure to appears. And that's what drives prosecutors to seek those two considerations, or would seek the judges, prosecutors and judges, to seek pre-conviction incarceration. And so, I think actually when Judge Larson provided us with some of that information, I think what we're seeing is, instead of your ham and egg kind of misdemeanor defenses, I think you're getting almost a professional type criminal, or someone that's in the system quite a lot, and those people need to be obviously dealt with one way or another. And so it was just a matter of how we meet them in the streets, and how we encounter them, how strong our evidence is. So it is very cyclical, and it's very interesting. But it is interesting actually that our ATP is going up, but the crime rate's going down. That would tell me that we're focusing in on true criminal element. That's an amateur viewpoint. So.
No, and I think that's my understanding too. I really wanted that on the record.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. All right. Well, thank you for letting me talk, you guys. All right, any other comments or questions?
I have a question.
That's right. Councilmember Cephedos.
So, just wanted to know, why is our percentage at 18% for our share?
That is the amount, we signed up for 60 beds, and that is at the time of the construction, and that is how the 18% came about.
Okay. And so who is considered Federal Way inmates? Is it who come through our court system? Or is it people who live here? What is it based on?
People we book.
Okay. So people who go through our system.
Yeah, people that we have booked, or people that are from our court that we've taken jurisdiction over, that
Okay.
we've got a case for.
Is car theft one of those, by the way?
No, that'd be a felony. Yeah.
Okay, Joshua's car just got stolen, but okay. Off the record.
But but I think you're right though. It's like today's car theft is tomorrow's or yesterday's, malicious mischief or devious assault. And that's what we're talking about. We do see people that have had felony histories, and quite a lot of them end up at our SCORE facility. You're welcome. Bob.
Yeah, just one more comment. I really do appreciate Judge Larson's email. I mean, he went through a lot of analysis and really opened my eyes as to what is going on here. You can't really dictate what our ADP is going to be. The people out there committing crimes are going to dictate that. So, but I feel good we're looking at this. I mean, I think this is something we have to do to continuously monitor our expenses here and what's going on, for, like the chief said, for fiscal responsibility. But I do want to keep this always in mind and look at alternatives if there are any. Of course, an alternative means to a criminal. Maybe we're getting soft on crime, and we certainly don't want to make that apparition out there. So, but anyway, I feel good we're looking at it. Thanks again, Professor, for putting together this enlightening presentation, though.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right. Great. Thank you. Council, any other questions? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? We've got a section now for public comment or citizen comment. All right, seeing none, we're going to recess into executive session at this point for two bases. The first is property acquisition pursuant to RCW 4230-1101B, and the second item is sale or lease of property pursuant to RCW 4230-111C. All right, we are in recess for that purpose.